What's going on, YouTube family? Today we're going to be talking about the parts department as well as the service department. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but more franchise dealerships make more money with their parts and service department than they do with their actual sales department. So just let that sink in. Service department is a major money maker, and usually they don't have to resort to any type of bad trickery or anything like that to make extra money. Now, once in a while they do a lot of extra warranty claims, but we're going to discuss this in this video. But today I had something happen to me that's never happened before in history, and I've been in the automotive industry for over 20 years, and this is the first time that I was actually overcharged for parts. So I recently sold my Audi R8 to a subscriber. Shout out to you if you're watching. And I went to order some parts. I ordered a new windshield, front brake pads, rear pads, and a few other miscellaneous things. And the total came out to $2,800. So when I was talking to my parts advisor, I told him to go ahead and save it under my account, and he didn't. He just saved it under my name. So when I actually showed up to the parts department at Audi, I said, yeah, I have an order. It's under Lucky Lopez. And when the guy brought out the invoice, I was actually shocked. Now, I'm just gonna go over the windshield first. Now, the windshield on the R8 retail price is $2,056.67. And the actual wholesale price of it, which I paid, is $1,645. Now, when he brought me out this initial quote, I thought it was going to be for the retail numbers because the retail on this windshield is $28. That's what the public pays. But instead, he charged me $2,600 on the actual windshield. On top of that, the front brake pads are wholesale are $568, retail are $710. He put on his invoice $1,000. Now, like I said, I've been in the automotive industry for over 20 years. I have never been overcharged for parts before. Now, even with all these things, I'll cover some of the stuff so you guys don't see it. And I'll put a screenshot in there. It always has a list price and a wholesale price. That's how they do it. So even though he was charging me more, you can literally see right next to the dollar amount that it was actually showing for more of a higher price than list price. So once I asked him about this and kind of called him on it, oh, it was a mistake. I accidentally did something and they ended up printing out my real numbers and got me taken care of. But it got me wondering. So I started looking at a few forums and I saw people complaining about how they're being charged parts. Now, I thought that maybe because of the pandemic and the part supply shortage, that they would be charging more money for parts because I've seen some vendors do that on the outside of the dealership label. But that wasn't true. All during the pandemic, I was buying and fixing cars and I never had to pay over retail for a part. They never did anything extra. The only time I had extra costs is when it came to either shipping or some other thing where I had to pay for some sort of facilitation of that part. That was the only extra costs ever that I ever paid. So I reached out to two of my friends that are service advisors. One works at a Hyundai dealership and the other one actually works at a Ford dealership here in Vegas. Now, when I asked them both, what are you seeing in your current market? Are you seeing a lot of cars? Are you guys picking up? Are you slowing down? The Ford dealership said that they were actually slowing down, that people weren't doing the same amount of service work. So what they were doing to offset their losses is they were doing what we call a lot of BS services, the flushes and the fluid changes and stuff like that, really hammering that away. That's kind of the worst shady thing that most service departments do. But one of the things that shocked me is he said that they started charging more for basic services. So like an oil change, if it was $89.95, now they're charging $140.95. If there was something like light bulbs, they usually do a special where every light bulb is $10. Well, now they will charge you $15 for the light bulb, but then they'll throw in 0.3 of an hour on top of that. So stuff that traditionally they didn't charge you labor for, now they're charging you labor for it. Now, when I talked to my friend that worked at Hyundai, she said the complete opposite. She said that they are actually on some parts charging more money because they know it's harder to get. Now, that's the first time I've ever seen a dealership do that. And so a lot of their, I think it was their 2.2 GLI motors that are having issues, a lot of those are covered under warranty. So warranty's taking up a majority of those motors. But people that want to come in and buy aftermarket crate motors for their vehicles, they're being charged a premium of anywhere from $500 to $900 more. Now, I asked, does that go on other parts? And then she said, of course, like on body panels, stuff like that, stuff that they think that only comes from Hyundai that's in limited supply. So they're currently actively charging, marking up prices. Now, when I asked her, did they do this during the pandemic? She said no as well. They didn't do it. It's only because now sales is suffering so much and they're starting to see less and less people come in for actual service repairs for Hyundais. They're trying to cover everything under warranty, that they're starting to do some of these crazy things to bring up the bottom dollar. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen, I did a video and on the news, the cost of labor has actually doubled in some industries, especially in auto repair. I've seen Ford dealers go from $106 an hour all the way up to $210 an hour here in Las Vegas. So just to work on a basic car, you're going to be paying on average about $150 to $170 an hour for just a regular car, whether that's a Hyundai, a Toyota, a Honda, things like that. That's what you're going to do. And that's not including if you have a Cadillac, a Lexus, a Mercedes, a BMW. You're looking at over $200 to $250 plus per hour. So now that we're seeing all these costs rising, what does that mean for regular consumers? Now, when I got this bill for, originally it was for $2,800, but then they gave me a bill for $4,800, I was shocked. But like I said, I'm selling this car. I have to fix these items, so I don't mind spending the money. But what about somebody just like a regular person on a fixed income? If you go in buying a Hyundai, expecting to maybe change your oil and having maybe a $50 to $100 oil change, get whacked with a $200-300 service fee to change fluids and change your oil, it starts getting kind of discerning. And a lot of the things that they're charging for, like the nitrogen fills and stuff like that, are kind of going away. Instead, they're just adding additional costs to parts. Now, when it comes to the service department, service, which is the actual labor that fixes your car, and parts are usually two separate entities. They work together, but they're still their own people. And so it's on the parts manager and the service manager to make as much money for both of these particular fields. Now, this is what causes some of this collusion when it comes to adding more money for parts and adding more labor for service. So back in the day, I don't know if you guys remember this, when you used to buy keys, it was fairly easy. You would go to parts department, they would basically give you the key, you would go to service, they wouldn't cost anything, and you'd be made a key. Fast forward to today, you can't buy usually just one key. They want you to buy 2 keys. And then on top of that, you have to pay the parts department, but then they will not program it. They force you to go to service department to pay whatever the minimum is, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever the case may be, to actually get your keys registered. So I remember my friend on his Ford Fusion had to pay over $600 for 2 key fobs for his car because Ford refused to sell him one. He had to get 2, and then he had to pay another, I think, $150 for programming, which it took them literally 5 minutes to do. Now, if they want to charge 0.5 an hour or 0.3 of an hour, whatever it is, even a half hour, that's fine. I can understand those type of costs. But to charge somebody an hour and a half of labor for something that takes 5 minutes. Another thing that the service departments are trying to do to create another source of revenue is doing software updates. Now, if you've noticed, a lot of companies are like, oh, you need the latest software update, you need this. Back in the day, it used to be a TSB, Technical Service Bulletin. You can get this, and sometimes they wouldn't charge you any money. Well, now they figured out every time there's an update, they could charge you a flat programming fee of anywhere from $150 to $250. Now, some of these things can be super simple, like they start your car 1.1 second faster than what it traditionally did. Or maybe your navigation gets updated with an additional city that's in a state that you don't even visit. But these are the things that they tell you that you need. Oh, there's a new software update. You need to get this for your car. But they'll never tell you what it does. So you're thinking, okay, maybe it'll help the car. But it could be a completely different software update for something that doesn't even matter. And these are just some of the things that are coming out there that service departments are trying to sell to regular consumers. Next, let's talk about warranties. So let's say you bought a brand new Ford Mustang. You have about 10,000 miles on it, and you take it in the service department because you have a check engine light. They scan it, they find out that it's a cylinder misfire. It could be the spark plug, could be the coil pack, but most times they wind up replacing both, and they usually don't charge the consumer. Now I see people charging 1 hour of diagnostics that they want you to prepay just to see if it's something that's related to the actual warranty claim. And so if it is, you'll get your money back. But if they find out some reason why it's not, then they don't want to give you your money back. I've never seen that before, but in the last 2 years, I've been seeing this more and more. A lot of the forums I read on Reddit, People are complaining that they're taking their cars into the service department while they're still under factory warranty and they're being charged an actual diagnostic fee, which is ridiculous. This is the reason why you buy new cars, so you don't have to deal with these types of things. Also, they're not telling the truth when it comes to the actual warranty and a TSB. Now, most recalls and warranty things are covered 100% by the dealer. Some TSBs are, but a lot of them are just service bulletins that they should be taking care of. And unfortunately, when people hear TSB or they hear acronyms, they figure that it's probably covered under the cost of the actual dealership. But unfortunately, a lot of consumers are like, oh, you have a TSB on your seatbelt, your hybrid battery, and all this stuff. And they're like, okay, we'll just go ahead and take care of it. And then all of a sudden they find a $5,000 bill after their car's done and it's been sitting there. Also, another big thing that's been going down is warranties used to be really great. They would try to cover whatever they could to fix the problem. And so traditionally what happens is if let's say you have a tick in your motor, or there's something wrong, there's a gremlin, and you keep having multiple issues, back in the day, they would try to figure it out. They would swap parts and see if they could figure whatever the issue is. And if they couldn't fix it with some of the minor fixes, they would just go ahead and either swap out, let's say, the whole motor or the whole wiring harness, whatever it would take to get there. Those days are gone. Now they will fix one thing, they will send you home, and they force you to drive their cars. And this is why you're seeing a rise of so-called lemon cars, where people have to go multiple times to get one particular thing fixed. Now, sometimes there are new cars that are being built, they're just not built right, or sometimes they have issues that they're not seeing. But there's a lot of franchise stores that don't have good quality trained techs because they don't want to pay. So instead of them actually diagnosing and really searching the problem, they're just throwing parts at it, hoping that it fixes the problem. Well, what happens is after 5 different times it goes into the shop for the exact same thing, the car qualifies for a lemon law. So once it gets under that 5 limit, they'll actually send a thing to the Ford rep, and the factory Ford rep will come down, or Honda, or whoever you have a car with, will come down, look at your car, look at the invoices, and see if there is some sort of a fault that can't be fixed. And if there is, they will go ahead, stamp it a lemon, and then they will buy back the car from you, or sometimes give you a trade-in credit to get a newer car for a discounted rate to show some sort of brand loyalty. This happens every single day. Now, with that being said, that's why we tell people when you have an issue and it's under warranty, you keep going back until they fix it. Because their goal is they want you to go back 2-3 times, and you're so sick at the point where you don't want to deal with it that now you're just like, I'm not going to go out, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just going to drive the car with the tick or the issue or the occasional light flashing. My friend bought an Alfa Romeo that literally has had the light flashing for the last 3 years for the transmission. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's some sort of voltage problem. But since Fiat and Alfa Romeo couldn't find the actual fault, they never wanted to fix anything. They just kept kicking the thing down the road. And so now he's got a $35,000 loan on a car that more than likely that's either going to short out or actually cause a real problem. So that's why we tell people, if you're having issues with your car, keep taking it in. And once you get past that 5 service intervals for the exact same issue, talk to the factory rep and say, look, I think this car has multiple issues. I think this thing may be a lemon. Can you have the factory rep look at it? And then they'll go ahead and look at this. Now, I'm going to say this with a disclaimer. If your car has a bunch of different issues and they're not related, that is not a lemon factor. I know this sucks and it hurts people's feelings when they hear this, but that's what they're going to do. If you come in for a ticking in the motor and after they've done the heads, did the intake, did the whatever coilovers, and they did maybe valve springs, and it's still ticking, then you can get a new motor or you can get a new car. But if you're 1 minute your transmission's going bad, next your alternator goes out, then your AC goes out, now your end's howling, those are different systems that are not connected. So if you try to file a lemon claim with your factory rep or with the actual dealership, they're automatically going to deny you. And most times they're going to put in the notes that they don't want to deal with you anymore. So every time your car comes in, they're just going to kick it back out. So be very careful when it comes to that. Also, the lemon law does not protect used cars. I don't care what you say, who you read on whatever forum, it's only for brand new cars. So if you bought a brand new car that's still under factory warranty, technically you can get away with it. Now in some states, If you buy a used car that's still under factory warranty, sometimes that does cover you, but a lot of times it's with the first owner. Just depends on what city and state you live in. But if you buy a used car with 60,000 miles and it has a bunch of issues, you can't go back to the dealer and say it's a lemon, because they're just going to tell you it's a used car. You're stuck with it. Don't waste your time. Don't hire an attorney. You're going to be wasting your time. Just leave it alone. Now that we got the whole franchise thing done, I want to talk about some independent shops. Now, independent shops are actually dying. There's not a lot of new ones opening up. Now, I think that there's a huge demand for good quality technicians. And a lot of people, especially nowadays, are taught, work smarter, not harder, don't work with your hands. Where if you were to go to school for $20,000 to $30,000 to learn how to work on cars, you could come out making $30, $40, $50, $60 an hour. Where you can go get a marketing degree and have $120,000 in student loan debt, and you'll come out making $15 an hour. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's just the way the world works now. There's nothing wrong with working with your hands. I don't know why, but especially in 2023 and 2024, people are looking down on tradesmen. Now, if you have a toilet that's back up or overflowing, guess what? You're going to call a plumber, and that plumber is going to charge you anywhere from $110 to $200 an hour, and you have to pay him because he's the only one that could fix it. Same thing with a mechanic. If you have issues with your car and it's not running right, you're not going to fix it yourself. Especially men nowadays, they can't even turn a simple wrench or change a tire. So they're going to have to pay a professional. They're going to have to pay anywhere from $100 to $200 an hour, just like electricians. So I believe that the trades field is going to grow even more because houses are not going to build themselves. Cars are not going to fix themselves. There is a huge demand. But also, that's why I say there's a huge demand for quality skilled workers. Like I said, you could drive around and you'll notice even in whatever city you live in, there's less and less shops every single year because there's nobody opening up new ones. And a lot of the cities deem automotive repair as dirty, so they're kicking them out. So now it's even forcing business owners that want to start a shop to go further on the outskirts of town, or there's less buildings in that particular city and they have to go somewhere else. So I think that automotive repair is going to be booming in 2024, just for the sheer fact of all these people, remember, that bought cars during the pandemic, they can't trade them in because they owe more than what they're worth. They can't refinance them because they owe more than what they're worth. And their credit's more likely going to be shot because they could barely make the payments. So what are they going to do? They have no choice but to fix these cars, keep them on the road as long as they can, so this way they can make all their payments and try to get out of that negative equity. So a lot of people that traditionally would buy cars are not going to be buying cars. And the people right now that are holding their old cars and waiting for the market to go down, they're going to keep coming in and servicing their car until prices come back to normal. So if you're a mechanic and you're watching this, there is definitely a lot of opportunity for you, especially in 2023 and 2024. So take advantage of it. But anyways, I would love to know your thoughts on opinions on the actual automotive repair industry. Have you had some good experiences at your local service department, or have you had some horrific experiences at your service department? Did they do the same thing to you? They charge more for parts than what they charged me? Did they give you a discount? I'd love to hear about some of those things. Also, if you see a lot of dealerships and shops closing in your area, please share it in the comment section below where you live at and why you think it is, because I'm seeing this more and more. And like I said, the automotive industry is important. You got to remember, everybody that's watching this video drives to work or drives to go somewhere. The food you eat is delivered by a car. The Uber Eats guy that's dropping off the food at your thing is driving a car. Cars touch everybody in every industry, so it's very important. So as we start to go down this decline, you're going to notice this more and more. And that's why you've seen during the pandemic where people had cars in the shop for a month, 2 months, and even still today, some of these shops are backed up over a month. My friend's shop that specializes in Mercedes here in Vegas, he's backed up for 3 months. He has cars literally filled in his backyard, and he has a storage lot where people just left their cars because they have nowhere else to go. There's only so many people that work on classic Mercedes here in Vegas, and they're begging him to get a bigger spot, but he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to risk the overhead. So let me know, like I said, again, what's going on in your current market. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you learned anything. Also smash the like button and subscribe. I truly appreciate it, and we'll see you next video.